And we're going to talk about some sort of preparation that I think you guys need to commit to for 2024. And I want to chop that up with you guys now. Now, before we get this done, fire emoji, and we'll get started. Now, what I've noticed over the last couple weeks, and you guys have seen it, is there's been a massive shift towards attention, right? And as we know and we talk, where attention goes, money flows. So wherever is the hot attention, wherever is the moment that is capturing the scenes of the internet, that's where you need to be paying attention. In the year 2019, BlackRock proceeded to hire a former Ripple XRP executive to spearhead their entire development of their cryptocurrency department. In the year 2015, you probably know this asset manager, Fidelity. They began mining Bitcoin in the year 2015. Over the next 30 days, something's going to be taking place in the next 30, 60, 90 days that I think is important for a lot of people to understand. And what I want to do is give you guys some context so that you can prepare yourself effectively and efficiently for where the world is headed. Now, before we get started, I want to give you a little bit of a story. It was the year 2020, and I was in the exact city where I am today, which is Miami. The year is 2020. Now, right before that, I was in the same place that I was in 2020, which was in Mexico. So I went to the same neighborhood that I was in prior to the last bull run, prior to the last kind of presidential run in the United States, which we know has a massive effect on the markets. And finally, I came back to Miami where we began to develop the entire thesis of NFTs, the entire thesis of Web3, the entire thesis of cryptocurrency as a dominant form of money movement, and the introduction of DeFi. Now, it's interesting because the last time I was in Miami, I had 17x to my net worth. It was crazy. It was the first time I had experienced a massive increase due to the fact that I was extremely allocated in crypto. Now, as you guys know, I exited my Ethereum positions at $3,950, and then I exited my Bitcoin in the high 40s, low 50s, kind of trickled my way out of there. And I rotated to what I believe to be a phenomenal opportunity prior to crypto when it came to be true, which was the stock market. We talked about Meta a year ago. We talked about Microsoft, which was basically now the proxy owner of OpenAI / ChatGPT and that entire ecosystem. We talked about Shopify. And we talked about now a lagging indicator, but a future giant, PayPal, amongst a couple other plays such as Coinbase. And now one that is eyeing my portfolio, which is Robinhood. As you guys know, Robinhood stock, to me, it's extremely cheap. It's undervalued, and the newbies love trading on that platform, especially now since it's 24/7. So potentially look at that. There may be an opportunity for you there. Now, during the last bull run, the narrative was the killers of Ethereum, right? And you had that narrative take place, which was, hey, Solana came around, but it was kind of led in some way, shape, or form, or connected with Sam Bankman-Fried. So that entire ecosystem suffered in some way, shape, or form for the very simple fact that it was associated with a crook. Now, what I've come to realize about these alternating L1s, you have Avalanche, you have Solana. In the last bull run, you had the Binance Smart Chain, which was led by the BNB run and the BNB fever and the craze of shitcoins. A lot of that has now died down on BNB due to the fact that BUSD is being taken down, and we are seeing the resurfacing of speculative markets that hasn't been around for a couple years. Now, the reason I wanted to talk to you guys, first is you need to understand positioning. 2, you need to understand sources of information. And then 3, let me hide this chat real quick. Give me a second. I don't know what this hide chat request is, but let me just turn off comments so we can chop it up. Okay, so let's talk. Last bull run, the narrative, guys, was DeFi, Ethereum killers, NFTs. Well, shitcoins have been kind of a thing always in crypto. But what you need to be figuring out is what are the narratives today. Now, what you need to do in order to understand narratives is you need to understand the market. Who is the person that is trading this market? Now, I can tell you it's not the 60-year-old guy on their computer that works a 9-to-5 job. I can tell you it's quite often not the 50-year-old dad, right? Father of 2. It's usually people in their 20s, their 30s, their early 40s that have a higher risk tolerance. Now, the reason they have a higher risk tolerance is because the market itself is extremely risky. You see 100% gains, but then you see fucking rugs at 1,000% rate that you see any sort of winning. So it's a crazy market. Now, the reason I'm coming to you guys is because I think you guys need to take really seriously the opportunity that you have at hand over the next coming years. I would say 2 to 3 years, maybe a little bit longer if Donald Trump becomes president again. You might have a little bit better of a market. The rates will go down for sure if he wins, and we will be printing more money. But there is an event taking place, which is the Bitcoin ETF, and then later on in 2024, the Bitcoin halving. And then later on in the year, the Bitcoin conference. And then later on in the year, the bond issuance of the Bitcoin volcano mining operation in El Salvador, which I recommend if you're a Bitcoin or crypto multimillionaire, that you be paying attention to other jurisdictions that are supporting the development of this ecosystem. Now, I want to introduce to you guys the concept of money as not the concept of value, but the concept of the advancement of technology. Now, over the next coming months, I will be publishing something important with regards to the crypto markets for you guys that I've been working on for quite a long time now. And the thesis behind this entire ecosystem that is financial remittance and the transfer of value is understanding that money is not value, but it is technological remittance of commerce. Now, let me explain. 1,000 years ago, if I wanted to, not 1,000 years ago, but maybe a little bit longer, 4,000 years ago, if I wanted to transact with you, and let's say you had a plot of land, I would come to you with something that was valuable to you, and we would barter and negotiate. But let's say I had 10 different plots of land, each of them a kilometer away from each other, and every individual that wanted to buy that plot of land had a different bartering system. AKA, they perceived or wanted a trade-off that was different than the prior individual before. So plot of land 1 was sold to a guy that did a trade-off on cows, and plot of land number 2 was a trade-off that was done in salt And then plot number 3 was done in Indian spices. And then plot number 4 was done in mirrors or pearls. So you had all these exchanges of value that the other person deemed important. Now, there was a financial technological revolution that took place, which was the issuance of the mint, the issuance of the coin, because the coin standardized, right, the process of understanding value. Because what I could do, in essence, was, okay, this plot of land is worth the issuance of these coins, this mint. The money, guys, was a technological advancement of what? The remittance of value. But as money grew, right, people also began to do what? Dilute the money. Because they realized that by diluting the money, you could increase the supply and kind of lie to the people regarding the actual weight and value of your money. Because remember, the issuance of that money was weighed. So the size, the dimension was measured by weight. So you would have your measurement in silver, you would have your measurement in copper, you would have your measurement in gold, whatever it may be, X, Y, and Z. Now, what is interesting is that it wasn't only a technological advancement for commerce, but it was also a technological advancement, hear me clearly, for the issuance of perceived dominance and power. Why? Because every time you would see Caesar's face on the coin, you knew who you belonged to. You knew whose ecosystem, right, you were under. So the coin became a symbol of power. The person that could issue coin, right, the person that could mint money was the person in charge. So clever individuals came along and said, let's create a system that allows us to have this power without really having the assets to back this power, aka fiat currency. Now, as you guys understand, fiat currency is not something new. It's existed for hundreds of years, but it's basically the building of society upon credits and loans. Because when you go and deposit your money inside of the bank account, the bank does not see that money as a deposit. They don't see it as an asset that they're holding on your behalf. They see it as what? A liability. Why? Because, well, they're giving you interest on it. Therefore, it's what? It's kind of like an investment vehicle. You know, you're going to make your money back. But they give you 0.1, 0.01%. But now it's very clever. You are holding a liability on your balance sheet. So the money that's issued from, they're the loans that are created, because a loan is created upon the signing, right? Because once you sign, the money is created. The loan is created upon your signature. People assume that money is just sitting there, right? But it's you signing upon the creation of the loan that issues the money into existence. But once that money comes into existence, how do you bring it back? You can't. That's why it expands. Society begins to realize that that money is being forged. So what happened with the Roman Empire? That he wanted to go back onto the gold standard. Julius Caesar decided that he wanted to get rid of the usury or the concept of debt, because he realized that there was individuals, oligarchs, that were monetizing off of the fractionalization of the currency. But Luke, how was it that these individuals fractionalized the currency back in the day? Well, they would dilute the purity of the coin. Now, back in the day, you would basically have to go and mine for gold or take over a village or take over a kingdom in order to bring in new currency in order to grow. Today, expansion or growth is merely just the printing of fake money. But that's basically stealing from your own people, because you're debasing, devaluing the purchasing power that you have. Why? Because there's more circulating supply. Therefore, scarcity becomes less abounding. We don't know how many dollars there are in circulation. When I go to a Walmart, I could go with a $20 bill that is fake, and it would clear. 100, unless it was terrible, it would 99% of the time clear. So how many fake dollars are there in circulation around the planet? And we need to remember, the big fraud is thinking that $1 equals $1. Because in your short lifespan, you have noticed that the value of $1 has gone down. But how low has it gone down in its purchasing power and in its value since the issuance of the dollar? It's gone down 99%. And if you're holding a different currency, let's say the Singaporean dollar, the Swiss franc, those are the two probably that could be exempt, but you're holding any other currency against the dollar, you're getting absolutely fucking blasted. Except one. Bitcoin. And it's crazy to think about it, but when you begin to think about Bitcoin as merely the technological evolution of money, and the transparency of the fact that there won't be more issued later, that there's a limited finite supply at an intrinsic level, makes you want to hold that thing more than the unlimited amounts of fiat that could be in existence and are constantly being printed without your permission. It's fucked. Like, imagine you own Bitcoin, right? And all of a sudden, new Bitcoin appears. Like, what the fuck? Bitcoin would literally fucking go to zero. It loses all trust and value. Why? Because it no longer holds the promise that it has. If you look at the US Constitution, the amount of US dollars that are supposed to be in circulation is 300 million. The US Constitution has issued $300 million of circulating supply. Everything else is not real. Now, back to Julius Caesar. He wanted to reintroduce the gold standard because he saw the debasing of the currency, aka the fading of his empire. But the oligarchs didn't like it. After he passed the law, within 6 months he was murdered. 23 stabs. A couple years later, the debasing of the currency was reintroduced. Now, this happened again many years later in a different land with an individual known as Abraham Lincoln. Now, Abraham Lincoln was an interesting individual because he introduced the thesis of freedom, and freedom for everybody. Now, he also understood that in order to win, he would need to fight for people that were opposing that view. Now, obviously, if you go deep down the rabbit hole, you understand that that war was funded, right? Somebody has to pay the soldiers. The soldiers have to get paid. But if you study history, a very famous and well-off banking dynasty approached Abraham Lincoln and offered to finance his side of the war, his side of the Civil War, for a massive interest rate of over 10%. Abraham Lincoln said, fuck that. He went to issue what he called the greenback dollars. And the greenback dollars was currency that he issued so that he could pay the army. He'd used the governmental power to do what? To get rid of the central banking system that was basically in control of the entire game. Within 6 months, he was murdered. This happened again in history. Many years later, as the United States approached the war on communism across the world, from Vietnam to the Koreas to the South Americas, the war on communism was rampant. Cuba, USSR, and so forth. There was an individual known as Kennedy. You've probably heard of this guy. You've probably heard of this individual, right? Now, Kennedy was a very interesting individual because he came in as a Democrat, but at some point he shifted his perspective into understanding that there was a big issue with the currency being debased. So he issued, through the Treasury, $2 billion of a new currency, a new US dollar that was backed by silver, the silver-backed dollar. Within 6 months, he was murdered. And a few months later, a silver coin with his face on it was minted to commemorate him. There was another individual in history, a little bit more on the ruthless side. In the northern region of Africa, his name was Gaddafi. Now, you've heard Hillary Clinton brag about, we came, we saw, he died. But the reason was because when it's all said and done, Gaddafi wanted to introduce the Pan-African currency backed by gold. Within a few years, he was dead. A few years later, an anonymous individual approached the internet, known as Satoshi Nakamoto. He introduced this concept of a new currency that was backed by trust, that was backed by truth, transparency, and the power of the network. Unlike any other individual that I listed prior that attempted to build something that would compete with the loyal dependence of the dollar, was introduced for the first time. And it kind of stuck. And it kind of became cool. And it represented freedom. But there's nobody to murder. There's no single source of leadership, right, that can be directly killed, that can kill this thing in perpetuity. Yeah, it can kill the price. Yeah, you can get rid of F2 pool and you can do some crazy shit. Yeah, for sure. But one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. And what has been reintroduced is what has always existed throughout history, which is a world where multi-currencies exist. Before you had central banks, you had state banks or you had local banks, and those banks issued notes. In fact, you can still go to Hong Kong, for example, and they will issue you notes that are bank deposits that work like money, but they are merely a representation of what you hold in your bank. That is what it is. So as your money's worth fucking zero, and I've just explained it to you, as there is a massive move towards digital IDs, a massive move towards the centralization and control of every aspect of your reality, from what you eat to what you say to what you think to what you see to who you hang out with to what you put in your body to what you have to listen to, everything is controlled. How do you get out of that? you have to be operating outside of certain systems, which means you have to develop different belief systems, which means you have to get educated as to the system that you're in. Because many of you guys, for example, don't know, there's a big conflict right now in the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal accounts for one of the massive decreases in product costs because of the expedited delivery and the shortness of the trip to take goods from the east to Europe and to the west. But since there's an issue there now, all the ships now have to be redirected down through South Africa. Every ship now has to take on 3,300 additional nautical miles. You may not feel it today, but in 6 months, my friend, the prices will go up. Inflation, distress, conflict is a lagging indicator in finance. So when I tell individuals that thousands of dollars a day is not a lot of money, it's because you need to understand that, okay, today it's good, but what about in fucking 5 years? Now, you may think that I'm out of my mind, but that's because you haven't lived through what I lived through. I come from Argentina, right? I remember being in Argentina when the dollar to the Argentine peso was fucking $3, 3 pesos to one US dollar. Today it's in the 800,000 plus bullshit. Did people think back in the day at $2, at $3 of an Argentine peso to a dollar that things would get debased to basically zero? No. They weren't prepared. They were uneducated. And the last thing you want to be is a fool that thinks that they know everything. Then you're fucked. Then you're fucked. I will gladly say I'm ignorant on every topic for the rest of my life if that means that I get to keep my ability to fucking continue learning. Because once you begin to evaluate how the world's working, you're going to stop scrolling and start making some serious motherfucking plans, bro. Because it becomes so obvious where the world is headed, and a lot of you guys are going to get fucked. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Unless you make a plan to do 3 things. 1 is capitalize on the trends in the markets at hand. I'm not saying buy fucking shit coins. Understand where the world is headed and where attention is going, and figure out where you can make money and build around that ecosystem. 2, extremely important. Your company, your income needs to be AI proof. AI proof. Okay, cool. Today, you're fine. In 10 years, you're fucked. How many times do I have to say this? Do you have to go back to the Geneva vlog in Switzerland when ChatGPT had just come out and I said everybody's fucked? Like, do you not understand Moore's law? To when you see an indicator, a growth, a technological growth in every area of society except education and money, and those things have never changed, right? So education is what? The technological transfer of information. And what is money but the technological transfer of value and commerce? These 2 things have now become completely revolutionized. I mean, guys, Capital Club ecosystems like ours that live on the internet, we make more than some of these fucking universities. You'd be surprised. You would be fucking surprised. So there's a new wave towards what? The future of how the world exists. And I refuse, and you should refuse as an intelligent individual, to listen to anybody that's talking out of their ass, that is uneducated, and that has no results. Because even though I'm not the richest guy, I'm not the biggest e-com guy, I'm not the biggest crypto guy, there's one thing that over the last couple years has stood true. I'm almost always fucking right when it comes to trends. Look at the track record. So if I'm mentioning something to you, it's because I've been studying. Let me give you an example. Here, hold up. Can I add photos to this shit? Let me see if I can show you guys something. Can I add photos to this? I'm going to show you guys a photo. Did they delete photos? Let me see here. I'll post it. I'll post it after on Instagram, guys, so you guys can see it. But it's basically because I've been tracking shipping routes. That's something that I do to understand basically where the world is headed, is tracking shipping routes and how the ships are moving. So I've been tracking the shipping routes for this from the Suez Canal. So what I'm telling you guys is things are about to get fucking more expensive. Now it's a lagging indicator. Do you think no more dollars are going to be ever printed? Like, do you understand over the last 10 years, more dollars have been printed than have ever been in existence ever over the last 20 years? That shit's not like bad to you. That shit's not weird. So they're keeping you distracted. They got you fighting over dumb shit, and they're stealing everything right in front of your fucking face, dude. And I think you need to have a real fucking reality check, dude. Like, fuck the fact that there's 6,800 people here, just like you and me. Like, really. But don't get fucked. Don't get fucked because you were lazy. Don't get fucked because you chose to not get educated. Don't get fucked because you decided not to pick up that book or go to that event or sit down and listen to that podcast or educate yourself on a specific topic. Guys, AI is extremely new. Crypto is extremely new. The internet is extremely new. But this shit is about to get censored as fuck. Like, what you need to understand is how we are going into a techno-feudalistic state. That's why Bitcoin, that's why these tools of freedom. I'm working on some freedom tools as well to release. Just open source to the public. I think it's going to be super beneficial for you guys. Because we kind of have to do our part when this entire shit hits the fan. And 90+% of the internet will be run by AI bullshit bots. And you won't know what's true and you won't know what's fake. So I think you need to start collecting the things that are real. Like, what is real? Relationships, network, fucking Bitcoin, gold. These are like real things, dude. Like real things. Go get some fucking real skills. 1, 2. Moving on to the next one. So I've been through election cycles and crypto bull runs. You know, like I did the 2020 cycle and that was fucking madness, dude. And it's coming again, dude. It's coming again. 2024 is about to be ruthless. The psyops are going to be huge. In my opinion, it's going to be a great opportunity to get extremely wealthy. I think over the last 2 years, we've seen a massive contraction, but I think things are coming back around. I don't know for how long. I don't know how sustainable this is. But at the end of the day, I've said it once and I'll say it again. If the US gets fucked, every place in the world gets fucked. Dude, everything runs on Visa. Everything runs on MasterCard. Everything runs on Amex. And everything runs on a fucking couple companies. Those companies go down, aka American companies, the world's fucked. So don't be so much worried about where you currently are, especially if you don't have much, right? Because if you don't have much, you don't have much to lose, so might as well go fucking all in. But do the following thing. Take some time and understand the sense of urgency that you're in, and that whether you believe it or not, and I am right, time will tell. There will come a digital lock upon you and upon me, And unless you have money, and unless you have a way to get out, you're fucked. And that is the truth. Will it be in every place in the world? No. But look what happened in Europe. All you motherfuckers had to get jabbed digital IDs. Cut. Couldn't do anything about it. Now what happens when that medical ID is connected to your bank account and to your social media account? You don't think it's coming? Okay. Oh, that was phenomenal. That was phenomenal. Whatever happened there with my hand motions that caused that fucking emoji, fireworks, motherfucker. Hold up, I gotta turn on the comment section because this shit was fun. Anyways, that shit was dope. You see, it's like when you're a glitch. When you're a glitch, you're a glitch, bro. When you're a glitch, you're a glitch. You saw it. Anyways, so guys, we need to have some serious conversations. I'm dedicated to our community. We're one of the top, if not the top community in the world, by number, by influence, by size. And my objective is very simple. There's more than enough for all of us. All we have to figure out is how do we band together to not get fucked. And I promise you, there's not a lot of people talking to 7,000 people saying this. You know what I mean? Because the entire game has been, how do you become a greedy little fucking pig and keep everything to yourself? And that's the wrong mindset. Because it's not how these dynasties are working, I can tell you that for fucking sure. Rome wasn't built by one man. We're the next generation. So I'm counting on you guys. You can count on me. I study daily, deeply to come prepared as best as I can. I'm still young. I'm still figuring it out. I have another 90 years. But I think it's extremely important for you guys to have a sobriety check as to where the world is headed. Remember, they locked you up for 2 years. Remember, the people that protested in Canada lost their bank accounts. It's so fucked. It's so fucked. Get ready. So wherever you are in the world, I'm counting on you. We need each other. We need glitches all over the fucking game. I need you guys on your shit. I need you guys getting educated. I need you guys getting strong. I need you guys getting developed. I need you guys networking. I need you guys getting connected. I need you guys to take it seriously, okay? I think you guys gotta take this shit seriously. You're not a fucking child, dude. You're not 2 years old. You're not 6 years old. Like, you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your actions. You're going to have to deal with the consequences of your inaction. You're going to have to deal with the consequences of the people you surround yourself with. You're going to have to deal with the consequences of the fucking money that you hold and the currency that you trust. You are fully responsible. And the thing is, if you want to be part of a good network, you have to become valuable. You have to become useful. Because it doesn't matter whether it was World War I or World War II. The ones that had a higher chance of surviving the entire game were the ones that were rich, connected, and motherfucking talented. How it's always been. Richest, most connected, and most talented. If you're neither, get to work. Get to work.